What's going on, guys? It's the Apex Messenger, or if you find me on Twitch, TTVA_Hillier. We have a 4K 20 kill bomb here in the control game mode. I want to try to give you guys some tips on how you guys can achieve this as well. Obviously, this isn't maybe as impressive as a 20 kill 4K bomb in BR, but compared to the majority, this is quite the task to complete. One note that should be made, this was my first game on. I usually try to play control as a bit of a warm-up before my rank grind, so you know, my aim these first couple drop-ins was a little off. I don't really use the car as much either, so not as well attuned to the recoil of the car. But as this game progresses, the aim really starts to get solidified and we really start to beam our shots. The first tip I can give you to still kills, because obviously you're trying to get 20 kills and 4K damage, the best tip I can give you is to not still kills, but try to take fights that aren't happening directly in front of you, such as a 1v1. Here I'm getting kills from my teammates fighting people. Yes, I'm stealing kills, but you know, it is what it is. It's a dog-eat-dog world out there. Again, this allows you to stay up longer while still dealing out damage and dishing out some kills. And so, going back on my word, I guess you are stealing kills overall. So sorry to say. Sorry, teammates. If you haven't watched my earlier video on how to drop 4K damage in control, this is one of the biggest tips I could give, which is hop in a car or hit one of the jump pad stations. That way you can get to the enemy base. And I've said this in my previous video, but this allows you to be in the first point of contact against the enemy team as they are respawning. Now, after respawn, I threw my lift, and my goal here was to go straight for a car. I'm going to explain in just a sec on why it's important to go for these cars. A lot of players might think they're useless, or maybe they're only good to get to, you know, a certain point quick. But for me, I have a different strat with the car. One thing also to be aware of, once you hop in the zone, players will know you're here. So don't think you're being like a sly little rat taking the base. The whole team's going to know you're taking that base. Also pretty wild, I just traded with that Rampart, while also taking in consideration she did have Sheila out her ult. Another big tip is the mobile respawn is so important. If you can get the mobile respawn and you can drive over to the enemy base and set it really close, this allows you to instantly drop on enemy base, which means you'll have a quicker time to interact with your enemies, as well as, like I said, be that first point of contact against them as they are moving into whichever base they're going to attack. Here you can see I whip out the mobile respawn and I try to get as close as possible to the enemy base. That way, as players respawn, they don't drop in the middle of the open just ready to get fried. They can actually drop with some cover or on the base itself. Again, that Rampart with the Sheila, no chance. I mean, didn't even trade that time. I think she's just a bad player. And you're going to see here, you know, we kill this Rampart quite a few times. And this is a bit of a funny tip, but focus on the bad players. If you're trying to get, you know, kills and you're trying to dish out damage, you'll notice the skill gap between certain players. That Rampart has been completely lost in the sauce this game, and so we really utilize killing her as much as possible and sending her straight back to her base to respawn and come right back to me. This Catalyst also maybe not the best, and if you can segregate your fights to only be fighting, you know, the bad players, that's going to be ideal. Definitely should have died here, by the way. I was actually a bullet. I don't know how I survived. The Rampart comes back in and doesn't even see me, and she gets obliterated by my teammate Fuse, which makes this an easy cleanup to kill Rampart as she's already a bullet. Again, just taking out this Catalyst and Rampart just kind of over and over. The quicker you can kill those players, the quicker they're going to respawn and come back for revenge. And if you know they're bad, you're just going to keep wiping them over and over and over. This is really going to help you dish out the damage to get 4K damage as well as 20 kills. Normally, I would like to play within the house, but this team actually kind of had a good comp as far as having Rampart for defense, as well as Mad Maggie to kind of like push you out and keep you out of certain areas. So that's why maybe in this video compared to my last, I am playing outside just a tad more, just because the team comps are a little different. Now, killing the players that are bad might seem a bit of a cop-out or an easy way out. However, if you think about it, the players that are dying are most likely probably the not as good players, which means if you're taking the enemy base, the players respawning are players who have just died and most likely aren't as good as the players who are still up, doing damage at maybe base A or B in this case. So taking this base, yes, we're taking worse players, but I mean, it's just part of the game. Those players are going to be respawning first and you'll be handling them first. And you can see how useful this mobile respawn is. As soon as I die, I'm able just to respawn and land literally on the roof of the building. I don't even have to land out in the open. Like, people can't camp the respawn per se. So that makes it really useful to get in action just that much quicker and dish out damage or kills. Had a little bit of a bouncy ball arc star right there, which was a bit of an L, but we try to make the best of it and still get this push inside. I think it's about playing smarter, not harder here, guys. Again, this rampart is just really lost in the sauce. I'd probably say half my kills came from this rampart alone, dude. Holy. We've seen this Valk a couple times. She seems pretty decent. I haven't killed her too many times in this gameplay, but for the majority of our encounters, I'd say I'm taking the dub. Again, just utilizing cover, even if it's enemy cover, this is a really good spot to hold. I don't really play Horizon too much, so I thought I could throw my ult through the fence, but it kind of just like ricocheted it, which I wasn't expecting. We had to try to make the best of it. But unfortunately, just too many angles, too much was happening, battle, and we end up dying. Now, I haven't gone and taken a peek at Zone B. I don't really know how the players are over there, so I decided to give Zone B a try, see if we're dealing with some sweats or some moves. And as my current analysis is, I do think your best route is going to be going to the enemy base respawn rather than going to fight at B. I think a lot of the sweaty players and the players who know what they're doing are going to be. And you can see a drastic increase in the skill level of maybe this Octane compared to that Rampart. Now I was trying to throw my tactical to keep them away from the door even more than the fence was and try to play my life, but it just wasn't working out for me there. Another big tip I can give is always in these close range battles, try to hip fire. I think a hip fire with an SMG is so useful just because you keep your quick movement speed up without slowing down, and it's almost just as accurate as aiming down sights at this close of range. In this next example, this is maybe the range you would aim down your sights, and they're maybe 15 to 30 meters out, and it's a little harder to control that hip fire recoil. Don't get me wrong, you can get away with aiming close, just like this clip as well. But I would always try to hip fire. There's obviously occasions where it might be better to aim down sights. I had a really good nade here, but just wasn't able to do enough damage to get kills here. Now, although we did die here, I can't stress enough how much damage your grenades are going to do. There I picked up maybe about 150 damage from my 2 nades. And even though I died, you're also still trying to get that 4K 20 bomb. So the nades do help towards that 4K, even though we did catch an L and die on that last round. After giving B a try and dealing out some damage, I figured to get that 4K 20 bomb, again, I'm going to have to stick to my best tactic, which is going Zone C and killing people as they're respawning and running in. Like I said, this gives you first point of contact. You get ample enemies coming towards you, as this is where they're going to have to respawn and come through first, or they'll at least know you're here and come through here trying to kill you. Really try to listen out for footsteps here. I'm just kind of waiting, trying to hear footsteps, and then once I hear footsteps, I try to gauge my sights on where those enemy players are going to be. Most of these times, I'm already kind of peeking or aiming down sights on where these players are going to come through. In the house, it's extremely easy as there's only like 4 doors they can come through. So if you hear a footstep on like one side, you know exactly what door they're going to be coming through, and you can kind of prepare just a little bit earlier. And notice how I'm playing my cover on these edges in between trying to find my opponents. This is really going to save you from taking a lot of damage when you don't need to. As this game does come to an end, we did drop that 4K 20 bomb in Control. I hope these tips really did help you. I hope you guys try to utilize these tips. And I can promise you, if you try to utilize these tips, you will see a significant increase in not only your damage output, but how many kills you're going to be able to produce. In fact, we were pretty close to even that 5K. So in my eyes, this was a really decent game. This was a warm-up game. It wasn't my best, but I hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay. If you did, make sure to drop a sub. We have a lot of socials, so keep the links in bio, and it's your boy. We'll see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.